Evening, friends. It has been far too long since we have done one of these, so tonight I give you the guide to all things Mondo Macabro. For those of you that have seen some of my previous boutique Blu-ray label guides, you'll understand that these get pretty exhaustive. However, this one is going to be special. First off, we're going to have all of the same information. We're going to find out the best way to support this label, the types of releases they got, all of the releases I have from them, and we're going to find out when they have sales, where you should buy them, all of that good stuff. But there's even more. It was my pleasure to have Jared Auner, an employee of Mondo Macabro, on for a video call recently, and I'm going to be taking a lot of the answers that he gave, and we're going to be putting those throughout this video so that we can give better context and hear it straight from the source. In my opinion, this is going to be one of the better videos, and I really hope that you're able to stay for the entire thing. I do know in advance that it's going to be long, and my apologies for that, but I promise you it is all well worth it. All right, so I'm here with Jared Auner, and he is with Mondo Macabro. And one of the first questions I sent you, obviously, you are not the only person behind Mondo Macabro. Do you mind sharing who all is involved in Mondo and what you do there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just an employee with Mondo Macabro. So I've been with the company for about 7 years now, but Mondo Macabro goes back like 20 years or so at this point.
Ancient.
Yeah, it's been around. I mean, that's a long time in DVD, Blu-ray terms. It's a long time. The company was founded by Pete Toombs and Andy Stark. Pete Toombs is the author of the books Immoral Tales and Mondo Macabro. And they did the TV shows Erotica, which was based on Immoral Tales, and Mondo Macabro, which was based on Mondo Macabro, and that's how the label got started.
By the way, the entire full uncut conversation with Jared will be released here soon-ish. Stay tuned for details on that coming up. So nowadays, you are pretty much the outward-facing voice of a lot of Mondo Macabro, though. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically just because I run the web, I run the website, and I'm on the message forums, and I run the Facebook page, and I'm answering customers' emails and stuff like that. So I'm usually the person that someone is going to talk to. Pete is really the person that does a lot of the technical stuff, that builds a lot of the discs. I help out with some of that too, but he does more of that technical end. So he's busy doing that stuff. So the task sort of falls to me to do stuff like this, to give interviews and things like that. So sort of by default, I've become the face of the company. For good or ill, that's the way it's worked out. I enjoy these things, and that's what got me interested in working with Pete in Mondo Macabro. I was just a huge fan of what they did. They were my favorite boutique label and still are. So I mean, I was just a fan who started talking to him, and it just gradually sort of snowballed to the point where I was working monetarily for them. Mondo Macabro, people may not know this, Mondo Macabro is under the same umbrella as Rook Films, which is the production company that does like the Ben Wheatley movies and the Peter Strickland movies and stuff like that. And so that had sort of was the more that had got started around that time, the early 2010s. So that was more the focus, and and it was just like Pete just likes doing this, is also a physical media guy, and had these connections, and so just kept putting out one or two things. And that's actually how I got involved. Was I saw that he was putting these things out, and not as many people were noticing them. That's how I got involved. I started running their blog, and set up a Facebook page for them and stuff like that. That was that, and it's down to Pete's vision and Pete's persistence, his stubbornness, and just his sort of common sense about how to run these things. He sort of stuck to just, okay, things are sort of dead right now. I'm not going to flood the market with things. But around the time I came on board, I could see that things were getting more robust. That Blu-ray was really coming in, and there was this fervent interest in movies being released in that format.
Right.
So that's, and with me helping to open the store and everything, and that selling direct, and so that's what sort of kick-started everything to where we are now.
I've been sharing about Mondo for literally years at this point, and how much I enjoy everything about it. And one of the things that I am constantly saying about Mondo Macabro, kind of more than any other label out there, is that there's something about the titles that you can just tell this was made to be released by Mondo Macabro. Can you try to explain that aspect? And first of all, do you agree with that?
I mean, I think so, and it's something that we think about and actively talk about. Like, sometimes, is this a movie is this a Mondo Macabro movie?
Does it
is
fit?
This something that fits our brand? Yeah. And sometimes there are things that we sort of decide don't. Movies that we genuinely love, but for whatever reason, that may be one of the deciding factors against us doing it, is it just doesn't really fit our brand. So yeah, and it really is more of, it is very much we know it when we see it sort of
exactly.
It's there's not a calculation to it. There's not like, check this, check that. It meets all these criteria. It doesn't really work like that. But it's like the byline of our brand is the wild side of world cinema.
Right.
And so that's what we're really going for. We're definitely seeking things out beyond the UK, where the company was started, and the US, which is where we release stuff, and of course where I am based. So we're seeking out movies from Europe and from Asia and from Latin America. And so that's a good place to start, is that it's going to be more, not that we would have anything against. In fact, we're releasing Dr. Caligari, the 1989 Dr. Caligari, later this year, and that's an American movie. Right. So I mean, but it still fits the brand. It's still a weird, unusual movie. There's weird sex excuse me. That's a hard thing to say. Sex aspects to it, and horror aspects. So I mean, it works. It fits into the brand very much. But for the most part, we're looking for movies that come from countries that are outside of the usual English speaking world. So Asia is something that really interests me, and that's when I try and look for movies and sign movies, that's where I'm going. Pete has many contacts in Asia as well, but many contacts in Europe. So those are the areas that we tend to work in the most.
And so Mondo Macabro really has about 3 different types of releases. They have a lot of DVD releases that they've put out over the years. They put out a handful of these standard edition regular Blu-rays. These are very similar to the red case Blu-rays, they just literally aren't in red cases. And then we have what they are known for nowadays, their bread and butter, the special limited edition red case Blu-rays. They've also released 3 different movies with the slipcovers, and all 3 of them have different color cases, but that's okay. It's actually the contents that make these special. Alright, here's a closer look at those 4 different types of releases that I mentioned just a moment ago. This first is their DVD style release. This is Alucarda. This is probably one of their most well-known titles, and you can see what the spine looks like here on the DVD. The DVD is also a red case. Not all of them were in red, but a lot of them are. That is the back. You can see even on DVD there are a lot of special features on these. And then opening it up, it is just a standard case on the inside with just a DVD. Next up is one of their releases that only came in a blue Blu-ray case, and this is their release for The Slave. You can see everything on here. This is a Blu-ray and DVD combo pack, which is not the case for most releases nowadays. This is back when they were transitioning from DVD to Blu-ray. There is the spine. You can see there is technically a catalog number there. And here is the back. Lots of special features, good artwork, and a very similar style across all of these. You can see this was limited edition to 3,500 copies. And the inside is the 2 discs, and that is it. the Slave. Next up is their bread and butter, and that is the limited edition red case Blu-rays. These are what they are focusing on nowadays. They have only released these red case Blu-rays for years at this point. There's not been any new DVDs in quite some time, so I would imagine that that is done and over with. And you can see there's still a catalog number there. Here is the back. And again, this is the motto that Jared brought up, the wild side of world cinema. Lots of special features. Again, good artwork, but this big red case is kind of just what they are known for. When you open it up, these red case Blu-rays have something extra inside. This one has a little booklet. It's pretty short, but some of these have art cards, some have a booklet, some have both. This is one of their more well-known releases, so I'm kind of surprised this one didn't get more, but this is a really great movie. And then finally, like I said, 3 of their releases have gotten released in the slipcases, and this one is just astounding art. I'm a big fan of this one. Here is the spine, here is the back, and then written out it says limited edition of 1,200 numbered copies. And when you take off the slip for this one, you'll see it's not a red case on this one. It is a clear case, 2-disc limited edition. When you flip it over, you'll see it is numbered here. I got 597 out of 1,200. Here is the back. Lots of special features on there. But then the big thing, on the inside, this has 2 discs, art cards, and a booklet behind. This is one of their more stacked releases. This is a great one. I get a lot of attention lately when I bring up Mondo on a lot of my streams and my shows and my videos, and a lot of people are asking what is the best way to break into this. So my question when I speak to a lot of these labels, what is, in your opinion, the best way for somebody to support you in the best possible way that benefits both you and the customer the best?
Well, it's certainly buying direct. I mean, if you're just talking about supporting through your, voting with your dollars,
right?
Buy from us. Don't buy from Amazon,
please.
Because I mean, that's how we make money. Honestly, if we were just selling through e-tailers, we wouldn't be in business.
Right.
It's just as simple as that. I mean, it was really like going back again, like to what I was talking about before, when there was just 1 or 2 DVD releases a year. That was, of course, all it was, there's Diabolic and a few other sort of indie retailers who are selling this stuff, and people should buy from them too. But it was me opening the store that really led to the growth of the company. It's because we make so much more money,
right,
and are able to then turn that money around and do more movies. So, I mean, if that's what you want, if you want more from Mondo Macabro, please, buy. The best thing you can do is to buy the red case limited releases, because that's where we're going to make most of the money. Most sales for any release that happens is going to be in the first week, first weeks of its release. So the earliest release version for us is going to be these red case releases, and you can only buy them direct from me. So if you do that, you are definitely supporting this company. Yeah, but but I also realize that isn't always possible, and we do need Amazon sales and Diabolic sales, Diabolic DVD.
The supporting you directly, obviously, red case is the best way. But in terms of somebody is perhaps a little hesitant to try out a new label, you do have sales on your website, and that's still a good time to support. Obviously, direct.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, we do a sale every October. We do a Halloween sale. And we do that to get out ahead of everyone else's Black Friday sales.
And it works pretty well as far as I can tell.
Yeah, they've gotten, it's been more successful every year. And we have new, we'll put up new pre-orders. And in fact, the plan is right now is the Caligari UHD will be for sale during the Halloween sale this year.
Nice.
So that's a little bit of news for you too.
Cool.
But absolutely. I mean, stuff is, It's at least a lot of stuff. Not everything, because some of the more, if it's more recent, I'll knock a couple of bucks off, but
Right.
it won't be half off. But you'll get a lot of things that are like half off the MSRP. So that is a good chance to take take a chance.
Exactly.
And on a movie like, oh, I've heard about this, but I'm not sure. I don't want to spend $30. Well, you can spend $17 with.
And get, as far as I remember, it pretty much in almost every single case, it's the exact same release, just without the bonus physical supplements, right?
Yeah.
All right, I don't have all of the Mondo Macabro releases, but I'm going to share as many as I can. So first up, I'm going to share that I have 2 releases of Alucarda, one being the US release and one being the UK release. The difference between the two is that the UK release has a documentary on Mexican horror movies. Really good releases. Next is Assault, Jack the Ripper. Here's the back. Then Azweng. I'm probably saying that incorrectly. And the back. Then Awakening the Beast, starring Coffin Joe. This is the UK release. Blood of the Virgins. Then we have The Blood Rose, the first sex horror film ever made. This is the Bollywood Horror Collection Volume 1. This is a double disc set. You can see it as a promo copy, so it's got the hole punches on the UPC, unfortunately. And so does Bollywood Horror Collection Volume 2. And then, here is Bollywood Horror Collection Volume 3. We have Clonus, Welcome to America. Countess Perverse, this is a Jess Franco film. Crazy Love. Dangerous Seductress, Sleep with Her and You Sleep Forever. This one is becoming more and more rare on the secondhand market. Then we have The Deathless Devil and Tarkan versus the Vikings. This is a double bill of Turkish pop cinema classics. And Death Walks at Midnight. This is again the UK release. The Devil's Sword, one of their more well-known titles. Diabolical Dr. Z from Jess Franco. Don't Deliver Us from Evil. Don't Open Till Christmas from the producers of Pieces, one of the greats. Female Prisoner Caged. This is Nikatsu Erotic Cinema. For Your Height Only. This is one of their more well-known titles as well. French Sex Murders. This is the Dick Randall Collection Volume 1 and also now available on Blu Ray from Vinegar Syndrome. The Girl in Room 2A, which is also available on Blu Ray from Vinegar Syndrome now. Girl Slaves of Morgana Le Fay. Gradiva. How to Seduce a Virgin with Lena Romay from Jess Franco. The Killer Must Kill Again, a Lost Giallo classic. Lady Terminator. This is easily one of their most well-known titles. Lifespan with Klaus Kinski. The Living Corpse, Dracula in Pakistan. Living Doll from the producer of Pieces and Slaughter High. Lorna the Exorcist. Lovers Beyond Time, The Greek Fantastique. The Mansion of Madness from the same director as Alucarda. Unfortunately, I got some random promo stickers on here I need to get off soon. Medusa. Mill of the Stone Women, and this one is now available on Blu-ray from Arrow Video. Mystics in Bali. This is another one that is super well known for their label. Naked Rashomon, another Nikatsu erotic cinema release. The Nude Princess, another UK release. Panic Beats, a Paul Naschy film. Marquis de Sade's Prosperities of Vice, another Nikatsu erotic cinema release. The Sadist with Red Teeth also includes Forbidden Paris. Satanico Pandemonium, you'll be hearing more about this title in just a minute. Satan's Blood, gotta love that classic cover on there. 7 Women for Satan, the French film banned in France. Silip, Daughters of Eve, another one you'll be hearing more about in just a minute. Sinner, directed by Jess Franco. Sins of Sister Lucia, another Nikatsu erotic cinema release. Snake Dancer. Striptease. Tango of Perversion. This is the Greek Collection, Volume 1. The Vampire. This is a UK release. Mexican film. And then Virgins from Hell, the double disc special edition. This is another one closely associated with the brand. This is The Warrior. Indonesian. This is The Watcher in the Attic, another Nikatsu erotic film. And then we have The Wife Killer, the Greek Collection, Volume 2. And that is it for the DVDs. For anybody brand new to the label, maybe some DVD titles and some of the Blu-ray titles, just maybe 2 or 3 of each that you would say these these are what our company is in an essence. If you look at these titles first, you'll really get it.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think the best place to start is going to be Alucarda, the Mexican film. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. It essentially is our flagship title. That was the first title. I think the first title released in the UK in probably like 2000 or 2001.
Yep.
And then it was also then the first title released in the US a couple of years later. And it's still our one of our best. I mean, I sell tons of copies of it just through the website. It's a perennial bestseller, and is a fantastic movie. Just a very unusual, weird gothic psychedelic horror movie.
Right.
So I mean that is good. That's always going to be like the first stop, I think.
I agree.
But another, if it's just talking about ones we've done on DVD that are still on DVD and we're probably not going to do on Blu-ray anytime soon, Lady Terminator is the other movie. Yeah, exactly. That is a movie that it's like a comfort movie for me almost at this point. And I think a lot of people, I mean, it's just the most fun trash movie. I mean, I really think it's like 5-star trash film. I mean, it really is just amazing. So those are good places to start with DVD.
Now for the Blu-rays. First up is the standard Blu-ray cases. We have The Devil's Business, one of their older releases. The Inheritors. Night Has a Thousand Desires, a Jess Franco film. And the last of the blue cases is The Slave. Limited of 3,500. Now on to the red cases. We have The Beast and the Magic Sword. Blood Ceremony. Bloodlust. The Blood Spattered Bride. Love the cover on this one. The Bushwhacker and the Ravager. This was done with association with the Something Weird video. Supposedly did not sell very well for them. Next one is Dangerous Cargo. The Designated Victim. The Devil Incarnate. This is a Paul Naschy film. The Devil's Nightmare. And Emmanuel in America. The Fan. Back when they had tiny print runs. The Fox with the Velvet Tail. The Frenchman's Garden. Gemini from Shinya Tsukamoto. Haruko the Goblin, also from Shinya Tsukamoto. Next one is Howl of the Devil by Paul Naschy. There's one of the reasons you should order some of these red case limited editions. You'll get the alternate artwork. Unfortunately, this is the only one I've ordered that has come damaged. But the box was damaged, so I know that it was not done from Mondo, and it happened in shipping. Next is Human Animals. One of my favorites of the last couple years, Hunting Ground. An Ideal Place to Kill. This is by Umberto Lindsay. Inquisition, another Paul Naschy film. It's Nothing Mama, Just a Game with David Hemmings. The Killer of Dolls. The Lady Kills and Pervertissima. Most likely pronouncing that incorrectly. The Laughing Woman. This is one of their most recent releases. Lizard in a Woman's Skin. This is from Lucio Fulci. Obviously a big title for them to release. Then an upgrade to the DVD they released of Panic Beats. And then another Lucio Fulci film. This is Perversion Story. This is another one of the slipcover releases. As it says, limited edition of 1,000 numbered copies. So we take that off. This one has a red case, and there is the numbering on the back. Next up is Private Vices, Public Virtues. This is limited edition of 1,000 numbered pieces. Here is the back. And again, this is another one of the slip cases. This one is just in a regular blue case. When you flip it over, there is the numbering. Next is Queens of Evil. Showed this one earlier. Has the slip case. This one was the clear case. There is the number on the back. Great release. Then the Blu-ray upgrade to Satanico Pandemonium. This is a really great movie. Another recent release, School of Death. 7 Women for Satan. This is the Blu-ray upgrade for Silip, Daughters of Eve. Very recent release from them. Sins of the Flesh. Spider. One that has seemingly gone pretty under the radar. Suddenly in the Dark. I love the cover art on this one. Succubus, another recent release. Symptoms, the Jose Larraz film. Who Can Kill a Child? This is a rather famous film. I'm so glad that they were able to put it out. This is The Wild Pussycat and the Deserter. This is the Greek Collection Volume 3 to go with the 2 DVD releases. And kind of a cool thing, I got the very last limited edition on this one. And finally, Woman Chasing the Butterfly of Death. I love the art on this one. It works so well with the film.
With Blu-ray, it's a little trickier just because in the Blu-ray era, we've sort of embraced doing even some more sort of well-known movies than when we did. But as far as things that speak to me, I think The Fan is right. Thank you. Yeah, you're
just for a visual for everybody.
Yeah,
I kind of had a feeling what a lot of the titles would be.
Sure, yeah. And The Fan is a great place to start,
right.
And is a really interesting, dark movie that I know very few people who have seen it and not been affected by it.
Right.
Very interesting teenage angst thriller that goes in very uncomfortable and dark directions by the end.
For me, that one is one of those movies that works really well on a rewatch, which for a movie like that doesn't always happen.
Sure.
Right. I love The Fan.
Yeah, it's a really classic movie. And I would hope that we could even someday keep it in our catalog for one thing, because rights do expire.
Of course.
But it's something I definitely want to keep, and hopefully we'll get the chance to maybe even upgrade it at some point. So, because the HD transfer on that one was sort of old even when we got it. So it still looks great, but it's something that I would love to be able to continuously upgrade. And again, now, like Alucarda, it's sort of become a flagship title for us, a very steady seller, and something that gets everyone. People will put articles on the net about it, and then that will someone will write an article and then we'll sell 50 more copies.
Somebody randomly discovers it and lights the
right, and and it just becomes this sort of thing. So that's a really good place to start. I would pick a couple of personal favorites beyond then to recommend that are very weird, but then very weird is sort of our remit, right?
Exactly.
That's part of our brand. I think the South Korean movie Woman Chasing the Butterfly of Death.
That's one I don't have next to me.
No, I was. You've let me down, Ryan. No, that's okay. That was a dream project of mine when I first started working for Mondo Macabro. That's one of the things that I wanted to bring out. I love the director Kim Ki-young. He did the movie The Housemaid in 1960. That's probably the most famous movie he's done. It's like part of the Criterion Collection now, even so. But that is just probably the weirdest movie we've ever done, to be quite honest. I can't even describe it. It's sort of a horror movie, but it's not really a horror movie. It's sort of a melodrama, but it's not a melodrama. It's uncategorizable and very weird. Late 70s, talking skeletons, mummy women who come back and beautiful mummy women who come back and want to eat your liver to survive. Just things like that. It's just unbelievable movie. And if I had to pick, I'm sorry, go ahead.
All I was going to say is the art that you guys commissioned for that, freaking amazing, and it works
Oh, yeah.
so well with the title. That is
Oh, yeah.
one of my favorite covers in the entire catalog, by the way.
Oh, cool. Thanks. Yeah, that's Naomi Butterfield is the artist who did that.
Nice.
She's done a few things for us, and I think that is her best work. It is a really stunning title or cover. And just one more. I'll put one more out there. Silip, Daughters of Eve. Yeah, it's an incredible movie. It was my favorite movie of the DVD era. Even more so than like Alucarda, I think.
Right.
It is just, it's not for everyone. There is a really horrendous animal death. I'll just be upfront with that right at the beginning of the movie, because that is something you'll get people going crazy in Facebook groups about these days.
Yeah.
So I'll just put it out there that it is, and there's lots of uncomfortable sexual situations to be too that might make people, that might disturb some people, but I think it is a transgressive masterpiece. It again, like Butterfly or like Alucarda, nothing like it. There's nothing like it that you'll ever see. So yeah. So those are sort of my starter pack.
And we, for the most part, we always do retail releases
Right.
of the Red Case limited editions. And they will be, it's the exact same disc.
Right.
It's not financially feasible to redo a disc.
Exactly.
To only publish 1,000 and then redo a disc, because there's all kinds of authoring and replication costs. You know, so it's the exact same disc. It's just in the the thin blue Amaray cases or whatever they're called. But sometimes they'll have different art. Sometimes it'll have the same art, but sometimes it'll be different art. So that's sort of cool too. So collect them all, kids. Get both versions.
And we're trying to do more. We've released some Japanese movies and we released some Korean movies. We've got a couple of Japanese things coming up later this year, and some Indian stuff again. So
nice. That's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. So we're revisiting those Bollywood horror movies. So expect some of those later this year.
You mentioned like upgrading the fan, and obviously there was a mention of Caligari. Yep. That is coming in 4K this year, correct?
Yes, that will be our first UHD release.
Now, are you treating that in your mind as like a test, or are you planning on continuing 4K potentially?
I mean, it's the way of the market. There are expectations there that you have to do some movies on UHD. Although people need to temper those expectations, because not everything can come out on UHD. It's not economically feasible to do it. It's also not, the materials aren't always there. Exactly. I mean, I do think some movies have been released on UHD that have no business being on UHD. It's just it's not necessarily to do with the quality of the 4K or 4K scan or restoration. It's just the materials themselves.
Right.
It's just it just doesn't make as much sense. But with Caligari, we just had we got access to to pristine negatives. And an offer from a very prestigious kind of up and coming restoration house to do it. Did they do it for free, or they did it for free or for very cheap? Wow. Just because they wanted to do it and they wanted to help us out with this. And so it's the same restoration company that did Suspiria for Simmons. Yeah. So if you've seen that restoration, it's
amazing. Yeah.
That's one of the best restorations of a certainly of a horror movie you'll ever see.
Agreed. Yeah.
So it's done by those same people in Poland, of all places, Poland. So it's so we have this beautiful restoration of it. Pete got the worldwide perpetual rights to it. We own the movie now.
Forever.
So we own, we can do theatrical, we can do streaming, we own all those rights. So with just that in mind, since the clock wasn't ticking, so like when we license a movie, it's usually we're only licensing it for 5 to 7 years, and then we have to renew. But this, we've just bought it in perpetuity. So in cases where the clock is ticking on a 7-year license, we have to sort of do what we can to, get it
Of course.
up to snuff, but get it out as quickly as possible. But since the clock isn't ticking, we've had some more time to work on this, and we've been working on it for about 3 years now. It's a lot of work has gone into it. So,
Wow.
so that's kind of what. So we have all these options for it. We had the time to work on it. We have the materials. We have, everything is in place. We're working with Siadian, the director. I may have mispronounced his name. Sure. But we're working with the director. He's fully on board.
Nice.
So all these things, and it just was the perfect storm of situations that led to us saying, yeah, let's try it out. Let's give this a shot, and we'll see how it goes. If it does really well, I think it is going to do really well because people are asking about it all the time. Then we probably will do more UHDs. But again, it'll just depend on the title, the materials, how much time we think we can put into working on it and making sure it's worthy of putting out in 4K. So that's a very long-winded answer to your question, but
That's appreciated.
yeah, but I mean that is sort of a glimpse into the outlook of how we decided on it and how we'll decide on it in the future.
And and Diabolic sales, Diabolic DVD. Jesse is a good friend of mine, and
Jesse's great.
Yeah. I mean, the hardest working man in show business.
I would agree.
So please support him. And he's also, here's a bit of news for you. If you'd like a little break,
please.
Break some news. He and I are working on something together.
Oh, interesting.
Label. So yeah. So
how does he find the time?
I don't know. But it was something. It was a movie that I signed a movie, or I made a deal for a movie, and just for whatever reason, Pete said, "I just don't think this is viable for us."
That makes sense.
So I looked. So I did a little shopping around, and I was originally going to take it to OCN, Vinegar Syndrome's thing.
Right.
But then I had a conversation with Jesse, and he's doing Cauldron now with his partner Brian Izzy, who is the second hardest working man in show business. He's a genius. He builds all their discs, does all their restoration, does all that in house. So I brought it to them and I said, well, I've got this movie. It's really interesting. Pete doesn't think we can do it. What do you think? And so that has led to what will be a new side label. It'll come out through the Cauldron. I hope they don't mind that I didn't tell them that I was going to be breaking this news on your show, but that it'll be coming out through Cauldron. The first release should be coming out sometime in the next few months, hopefully.
Wow.
Cross your fingers.
Fantastic.
And there are more movies. I just signed another movie.
Good.
And then have another one that I'm going to sign as soon as I refill the coffers a little bit.
Right.
So it'll be Asian focused.
Oh, so, cool.
So again, going back to the sort of moment that Asian movies are having.
Yeah.
So we're adding to that and not adding to the richness. Hopefully not adding to the glut.
Right.
so have a look for that. That's all I'll say. I don't because there'll be a press release announcement and stuff in a couple of months.
Good.
So, but just to tease a little bit, yeah, there'll be a new label that I and they are working on together, all about Asian films, particularly trashy action exploitation.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so that is all things Mondo Macabro. I hope you've enjoyed that. And again, in summary, we're going to break it down like this. Buy from them direct if you can. If you want to be the most supportive type of customer that you can, get the limited edition red case Blu-ray releases as soon as possible, and that helps the company the most. They have one sale a year during Halloween, and they do that to get ahead of everybody's Black Friday sales, and they're going to have a pretty big 2022. I want to thank everybody who hung out for this entire video. I know it's a ton of information, but I really think it was enjoyable, and I just wanted to share that I love this company and that I think a lot more people could really dive into it and find something to hold on to. Mondo Macabro does some really special things, and they deserve a lot of attention. If you have any questions about the label, about any release specifically, let me know in the comments below. You know that I pretty much try to answer every single thing I come across. And in the meantime, for one collector to all of you, have a good night.